Do you want to know where the real bargains in Dubai are before they are gone? Today I will show you 3 strategies that investors use to get access to the best property deals. Many people rely on offers from agents or browse online portals. But if that's how you are searching, you're often paying too much or simply arriving too late. I will now show you how to find and evaluate properties and exactly how to approach this so that you get a real advantage when buying real estate in Dubai. If you want to invest in Dubai without relying on luck or the crowd, then this episode is a must. Welcome. My name is Eugene Zimbelman from Dubai Finance. I help investors successfully invest in real estate in Dubai by finding the right property as an investor, Dubai Land Department certified property valuer, and mortgage specialist. And if you have already been looking into real estate in Dubai, you will know this situation very well. The moment you step off the plane and arrive at the Dubai airport, you see perfectly staged images everywhere. Modern buildings, pools, gyms, views that almost look too good to be real. And before you have even collected your luggage, the first properties are already being sold to you. On the way to the hotel, it continues. Huge billboards, entire neighborhoods being advertised. Everything looks like the perfect investment. In the malls, at the beach, basically everywhere. And this is exactly where the first mistake in thinking begins. Because everything you see there is off-plan properties that are not even finished yet. And now ask yourself honestly, if these deals really that good, why are they being sold on every corner? Why do you need massive marketing budgets, influencers, events, and investor trips just to place these properties? That's exactly the problem. These deals are not being sold because they are good. They are being sold because they need to be sold. And the sellers get a lot of high commission. Many people eventually realize this and say to themselves, I'm going to take one step further. I'm not going to rely on developers or these glossy promises anywhere. So what do? They go to portals like Property Finder or Beirut. And at the surface, that seems logical. You find existing properties there, real listings, real sellers. But here too, you need to understand how this market actually works. Because what happens in reality? You see a good listing, the price looks attractive, you send an inquiry, and then either you get no response at all, or you are told the property is no longer available. Maybe you are then offered a different property that is significantly more expensive. And this is exactly where you should ask yourself, was that original listing even real? The truth is, many of these listings only exist to generate leads. Agents use these listings to get inquiries and then direct you towards other properties. What this means for you is very simple. You are not just too late. You are operating in a system that is not designed to give you the best deals. And now comes the key point. Even if you do find a real property, you have another problem. How do you actually know whether the price is really good? How do you know if you are getting a bargain or simply paying the market price or even more than that? Many people rely on gut feeling or on what agents tell them. And that is exactly where the danger lies. If you truly want to understand whether a property is worth its price, you need to look at real transaction data. One platform I can recommend here is dxbinteract.com. There you can see actual prices at which properties were sold. But even here you need to be careful. Because recently the apartment numbers were removed, even though the Dubai Land Department actually makes these data available. This means you can see prices, but you can no longer pinpoint exactly which specific apartment was sold. And this is where many people make the next mistake. They simply compare the price per square meter or square foot and think they have made a well-informed decision. But the reality is different. 2 units in the same building can be valued completely differently. Different floors, different orientations, views, conditions, layouts, all of these has a massive impact on price. What this means for you is, this data is extremely valuable, but it is only a guide. It does not replace a proper valuation. And now ask yourself the key question. If the traditional routes don't work, if portals are unreliable, and even if data is only useful to a limited degree, then where do the truly best deals come from? That's exactly what we are going to look at in the next part. And this is where the part begins that most investors never understand, because they only ever operate in the visible markets. The best deals almost never come from where everyone is looking. They come from places where there is no public attention yet, where there is no competition, and where sellers are acting for very specific reasons. And that's exactly why we are now going to look at these 3 strategies that actually work. The first strategy is direct access to owners. And this is something many agents use themselves, but rarely talk about openly. In Dubai, there are so-called owner lists. These are data sets with contact details of property owners, sometimes very detailed, and sometimes sitting in at least a legal gray area. I regularly get offered such lists, and the idea behind it is simple. You don't go through a portal, you don't go through an agent, you approach the owner directly. And now ask yourself, who is more likely to sell at a good price? Someone who has perfectly marketed their property, has time and is waiting for the best buyer, or someone who perhaps needs cash quickly and hasn't even started selling yet? That's exactly where opportunities are created. But, and this is very important, simply calling people is not enough. You need to understand who you are contacting. You need to know which building you are targeting, which units are interesting, what realistic price look like, and most importantly, how to lead the conversation. Because just because someone owns a property doesn't mean they want to sell it. This strategy only works when it's carried out in a structured way. The second strategy is networking. And I don't mean following a few agents on Instagram. I mean a real solid network within the market. Contacts with other investors, agents, owners, and property managers. Because many deals never reach the open market. They are passed on internally before that. Maybe an agent has a seller who needs to sell quickly. Maybe there is an investor who needs cash. Maybe there are units that are not officially listed because the seller wants to keep the process discreet. And within this network, I'm currently seeing a development that is extremely interesting. There are off-plan properties being resold at significant discounts, 15%, 20%, or sometimes even more. Not because the property has suddenly become better, but because the original buyer has realized that the investment isn't working and wants out. And now you have to ask yourself, how do you get access to deals like that before they disappear again or get picked up by other investors? And if these kinds of insights matter to you and you want to understand what is really happening in the market right now in Dubai, then subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dubai Finance. I upload 3 episodes a week about how the market is developing, where the risks are, and where real opportunities are being created. So you can make informed decisions and not fall for marketing promises. And now we come to the third strategy, which in my opinion is currently the strongest because it is scalable and because it solves exactly the problem that many investors have. Namely, the question, how do I find sellers who truly need to sell? Because that is the key difference. A seller who wants to sell negotiates differently from a seller who needs to sell. And exactly these highly motivated sellers are the key to deals below the market value. And for exactly this reason, we built our own platform, WeBuyYourUnit.com. This platform is aimed directly at owners who want to sell their property quickly and without complications. The key difference is that these listings do not end up publicly on portals. They are not broadly marketed. They don't pass through 10 sets of agent hands. They come directly to us. And that gives us the ability to review these properties in advance, assess them realistically, and then pass them on directly to our own clients. And now a point becomes extremely important that many people underestimate. Just because a seller is under pressure does not automatically mean it is a good deal. This is exactly where the valuation comes in. We look at every property not just based on data, but also in person, condition, build quality, position within the building, orientation, potential rental demand. All of these factors determine whether a bargain is truly won or whether you are buying yourself long-term problems. And that is exactly the difference between buying by chance and investing with a strategy. Just people buy what is offered to them. Successful investors buy what they choose after they have truly understood the market. And now, ask yourself the final question. Do you want to keep searching on portals, comparing listings and hoping that you will eventually find a good deal? Or do you want to understand how this market truly works and build yourself a real advantage? If you want to learn exactly that, and if you want to understand how we identify, assess, and close deals like these, then go now to www.dubai-finance.com and book your free first consultation. We will look at your situation together, analyze your goals, and show you exactly how to not just participate in this market, but secure a real advantage for yourself.